Okay guys, so I want to take a look at one that was a little bit trickier, a little bit more complicated. Again, I made this one up. The ones in the book aren't always so nice. So this one works out pretty nice for us, but it fields some other issues, especially having this big this big 3 out in the front that can kind of mess us up. All right, so let's see how this works. This is one I believe we may have to rewind and play again a few times at the house, but let's see what's going on. So okay, so I want to change this from standard form into vertex form. I'm going to do the same thing. I'll go ahead and group the x's all together. So I'm going to get negative 3x squared plus 24x, leave the big space, minus 40. Now, remember one of the things we said about completing the square is this number with the x squared has to be a 1. So we're going to have to factor out a negative 3 from everything in the parentheses here. So I'm going to have negative 3 times whatever's left over. Negative 3 times x squared would bring me back to that. And then negative 3 times, what's that going to be? A minus 8x would bring me there. I can close that up, and there's a minus 40. Okay, and so all I've done is I factored out the minus 3 from everything here inside the parentheses. Now let's go ahead and complete the square in here. So I got a minus 8, so I'm going to do a negative 8 divided by 2, square it. That's a negative 4 squared, and that's a 16. So I'm going to add 16 right here. Now remember, if I add something here, I have to subtract it here. So I have to do minus something over here. But here's a problem. When I added this plus 16, I didn't just add 16. I added negative 3 times 16. See how that works? Because it's negative 3 times all this stuff. So I'm doing, if I were to FOIL this back out, I have to do negative 3 times the 16 to get back up here. So when I subtract a thing, I added negative 3 times 16, so I have to subtract negative 3 times 16. I add it here, I subtract it here. This is the piece that's going to mess people up, is right here. All right? Because I added 16 inside the parentheses, negative 3 times 16, that's what I have to subtract. I subtract, I add here, so I subtract here, the negative 3 times 16. So let's see how this works out. Out front, okay, we'll get to all this mess here in a minute. Out front, I got my minus 3, and I can write the parentheses now as the something squared. Well, it's going to be x, and then here's the minus 4 right here after we divided by 2. So it's going to be x minus 4 squared. Now all of this stuff. Well, let's use some of our space here to kind of help out here. So this is like minus, so just looking at this piece right here, negative 3 times 16, that's what, negative 48. So just this by itself is a minus 48. So we're doing negative 40 minus a minus 48. So that's like saying negative 40 plus 48, right? And negative 40 plus 48 is a plus 8, so that's going to be plus 8 here at the end. All right, so that's how that works. Okay, so now we're done. We have our vertex form. And if we look at this a little bit closer, the vertex. If we look at vertex, would be 4, 8. The axis of symmetry would be the line x equals 4. This one opens down because of the minus 3. And then also it's a 3. 3 is larger than 1, so it's stretched. It's stretched. That's as details we have to get with that it's stretched. Okay. One thing that I want to point out with this is notice in the very beginning here, this was like ax squared plus bx plus c. Notice the a number. This is like a is a minus 3. And notice down here we have our minus 3. Okay? And if you remember in the basic form of this was a times x minus h plus k, so all squared, plus k. So and these numbers are the same. That's important. That's going to help us here in a little bit. Okay. Now one thing that I want to do, this is kind of a big drawn out process here, kind of a very complicated thing. There is a shortcut. Let's take a look at the shortcut. All right. Here's how the shortcut works. So let's Look at this shortcut. We got f of x equals negative 3x squared plus 24x minus 40. Let's look at the shortcut. The shortcut's very nice. Here's how it goes down. There is something that we can do straight from here to get us a certain value. We can find the x value of the vertex. We can find that, the x value of the vertex. Remember, the vertex is a point, the point x, an xy point. So here we kind of already know it's a point 4h. But straight from here we can find the x value of the vertex. And here's how we do it. We do negative b over 2a. If we do negative b over 2a, that will give us the x value of the vertex. What do I mean? Remember, this is ax squared plus bx plus c. So that's a, that's b, that's c. If we do it for this one, negative b, that'd be negative 24 over 2 times a. A is a minus 3. So that's negative 24 over negative 6, and that's 4. That's the x value of our vertex, and we know that it works. Okay. Well, now what do we do with this awesome news? Well, here's what we can do. If we have our vertex here, so we're trying to find a vertex. We have the 4 now. Now we just need the other number. We have the 4, we're just looking for the other one. Well, let's do this. Let's do f of 4. Plug in 4 to this, and that'll give us our y value. When x is 4, what's y? Well, we plug 4 in, see what happens. Let's do it. Negative 3 times 4 squared plus 24 times 4 minus 40. So that's negative 3 times 16 plus 96 minus 40. What's that? Negative 48. Negative 48 plus 96 minus 40. And it should all work out to be 8. I think it does. So our vertex is a point 48. And look what we can do now. Now that we have this, remember that the vertex form of the parabola is f of x equals a x minus h squared plus k. Well, we have our h and k now. Right? We have f of x equals, we don't have the a really, so a times x minus 4 squared plus 8. We were able to use once we had the vertex, we can plug them right into the vertex form of the equation. Now the a, what's the a? Remember we said the a was the same. We use the same a from here as we do down here. So we have a, there it is. F of x equals negative 3 times x minus 4 squared plus 8. And we get the exact same one that we got after doing all this crazy stuff. So we can go straight to the end here. We find just we use negative b over 2a to find the x value of the vertex. And then we do f of that, whatever it is, plug that number in to the original equation, and we end up with the y value. And once we have that, we can plug that in here, and we can get our equation. We also borrow the a value down here. And that's how we can do it. Very nice shortcut. I think we're all going to kind of embrace this version as opposed to the other one. What do you think?